your speed, you shall find. When you see dignified, Pacific people. Say your speed, you shall find. When you see dignified, Pacific people.
Whakalawhalahi atu, I'm Wiley with a bulletin of news and sport from RNZ Pacific. New Zealanders who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 will be able to request a vaccination certificate later this morning. The certificate, which is dubbed My Vaccine Pass, will be required in a range of public settings under the new traffic light system. Access to essential services like supermarkets, pharmacies, all health services and petrol stations will not require a pass. The free pass can be requested today. Fiji's reported 14 deaths and 52 new cases of COVID-19. The government also confirmed this week the deaths were recorded during August the 6th and September the 19th of this year. Of the latest cases, 7 were recorded last Saturday, 5 on Sunday and 20 on Monday. Fiji has now a total of 695 active cases in isolation and 694 deaths, all but 2 of those coming from the latest outbreak that began in April. Fiji is set to move back national curfews as the government eases COVID-19 restrictions on bars and events across the country. Hit Fiji in March of last year. Nightclubs, taverns and pubs that were closed for nearly 2 years were allowed to reopen last weekend, while national events postponed during the latest outbreak and 8 have now been able to take place. Irish company O'Reilly's operates Fiji's biggest chain of liquor shops, nightclubs, pubs and restaurants. Manager Brent, they opened to 200 guests last weekend.
But once you know what we done in the rule, was understood and what was
The Dutch Parliament has debated a government COVID-19. Proponents cite record high infection rates. Proponents say the move would, which grants access to indoor public venues to people who have been vaccinated, have recovered or have tested negative for the virus. Under the current government proposal, the last option would be dropped. The Netherlands reimposed some lockdown measures last weekend in an effort to slow a resurgence of coronavirus, but infections have continued to spread. The National Institute for Health on Tuesday reported a record of more than 110,000 cases in the week ended November the 16th, which is an increase of 44% from the week before. The Pacific Regional Advisor for Transparency International says it's great to have first-hand accounts from Pacific people about the extent of corruption they face. The Pacific's been included in Transparency's latest Global Corruption Barometer with a survey of more than of bribery, vote buying and sexual extortion being experiences. Regional Advisor Mariam Matthew says more needs to be done, but the first initial information is helpful.
It needs to be taken as a first step, and then we can obviously speak to other key stakeholders to provide a more in-depth, holistic picture around these issues. But it's good to get this initial idea of what could be the potential areas that we need to look into.
A marine scientist from the University of Hawaii says the Phoenix Islands protected area in Kiribati is incredibly strategic in the Pacific, especially in the age of climate change. The protected area was one of the first and biggest marine reserve areas, but this week the Kiribati government announced it's opening it up to commitment of the university's Pacific Biosciences Research Centre says one of the critical issues for the He says the Phoenix Islands protected area serves a role in trying to combat this.
It covers a very large expanse of ocean. Part of the problem for the Pacific is the expansion of what's called the Western Pacific Warming Pool, which is pushing fish. And so that particular large-scale MPA is very strategically located in a world of climate change.
The Pacific Environmental Protection Organization says the region has no choice but to keep fighting for climate justice. The Director General of SPREP filled with more pledges and promises without the necessary policies and actions needed to deliver on them. Kosi Latu says he's nevertheless proud of the Pacific's unified voice at this year's COP, which he says was one of the most difficult for the region to participate in, with many countries not making it to Glasgow. Asked if a greater Pacific presence would have made a difference to the outcome, Kosi Latu said he would
Egypt next year, that we don't keep seeing all these pledges and promises. We've got to see some real action. That's what I like.
have been bombings in the capital of Uganda, Kampala. 3 attackers are among the dead. The BBC's Patience Atuhaide reports.
Kampala's central business district has remained eerily empty and quiet this afternoon. Most people left the city as fast as they could. The blasts went off within minutes of each other, one very close to the Parliament building and the other across the road from the central police station. Police pursued and arrested a 4th suspect. Spokesperson Fred Enanga. The authorities have blamed